Tony Ferguson, or El Cucuy, whatever name you want to refer to him, this man has made a name for himself in the world of fighting. His stellar career is proof in itself, but no matter how high you rise, there's always a hit that takes you back a couple of steps. On that note, let's dive into the wins and losses of his career. Grab your snacks. First and foremost, what's this El Cucuy story we hear? El Cucuy is a tall and furry mythical creature with red eyes and a large red ear. He lives in the hills of mountains or Mexico and uses his ear to listen for misbehaving children, eventually emerging from his mountain cave to kidnap them. It gets even creepier. He takes them back to his cave and, not to scare any children or mothers out there, takes great pleasure in eating them alive. Of course, El Cucuy is also known as the Boogeyman. Tony Ferguson pays homage to his Mexican heritage by adopting these two nicknames. His coaches often refer to him as a Central American Boogeyman, and we must say, these names fit him quite well. He has become well known by these names, and now we know which story to tell our children next time they misbehave. Coming up, let's take a look at 5 of his most spectacular fights. Tony Ferguson is, without a doubt, one of the best MMA fighters in the whole world right now, and you'd be lying if you said otherwise. He's been praised by everyone for transforming himself from a wrestler to a complete MMA fighter over the course of his long and storied career. In fact, the vast majority of combat sports fans and experts believes he's one of the most well-rounded fighters to have ever stepped foot inside the UFC's famed octagon. On that note, today we'll dive into the 5 best Tony Ferguson UFC fights. His fight with Josh Thompson had to take the lead, and here's what happened. Tony Ferguson fought the widely respected lightweight legend Josh Thompson at UFC Fight Night in 2015. Ferguson vs. Thompson was billed as a supremely important clash between top lightweight contenders, with the winner likely receiving a future shot at the UFC 155-pound title. Now, the details might get a bit gory, so beware. Ferguson began the fight with his trademark long jab, before moving into mid-range and slashing Thompson with a seemingly never-ending barrage of elbows, leaving him a bloody mess. And to make matters worse, he was also pretty dazed, because most elbows connected flush on his temple. Yikes! Thompson deserves special recognition for surviving the horrific beating and making it to the end of the third and final round of the fight. And of course, Ferguson was declared the winner of the brutal, bloody affair by unanimous decision. Next up, we have his fight with Edson Barboza. Tony Ferguson faced Barboza in December of the same year at the Ultimate Fighter Team McGregor vs. Team Faber finale, after defeating Josh Thompson in July. His fight with Barboza was made even more intriguing by the latter's use of an excellent jab to confuse him. There's no doubt about it, folks. Unlike in the Thompson fight, he struggled to deal with Barboza. Barboza's clean boxing seemingly dazed him, but he continued to be the aggressor despite it all. Ferguson moved in for the kill once he realized his opponent was completely exhausted and had little to no strings in his strikes. El Cucuy smacked Barboza with alternating left-right hooks and a few elbows for good measure. The legendary fighter finished the fight in round 2 with a Darce choke on a bloodied and dazed Barboza, securing the tap in the submission victory. Must all fights end with a bloody mess? If they're as fascinating as this one, then we see no problem. Coming up, we have Tony Ferguson versus Lando Vannata. Tony squared off against Lando Vannata in what became an instant classic. Vannata had Ferguson in all kinds of trouble in the early going, dropping him multiple times throughout the fight. Vannata landed one of the most beautiful head kicks in mixed martial arts history, which resulted in perhaps the most significant knockdown of the entire fight. Vannata had a firm grip on his opponent's leg, and the latter appeared to expect him to complete the takedown. Nonetheless, Vannata pulled the leg towards himself, jolting Ferguson's head downwards, while simultaneously throwing a head kick, which was amplified because Ferguson moved right into the strike. Our favorite fighter was on roller skates after the thunderous head kick and managed to get back up, only to be knocked down again. El Cucuy deserves full credit for surviving here and returning in round 2 to land several beautiful punches before catching Vannata's neck in a standing front choke, securing a submission win. Number 4 on our list is Tony Ferguson versus Kevin Lee. Tony Ferguson fought Kevin Lee for the interim UFC lightweight championship at UFC 216. Although it was later revealed that Lee had a staph infection when he entered the fight, the young fighter was said to be in fighting shape because the infection hadn't really escalated beyond control until well after the fight was over. For all the technical fighting nerds out there, this battle is right up your alley. Ferguson struggled with Lee's wrestler boxing style when they met, as Lee landed several jabs and right hands on El Cucuy. In fact, Lee fought so well that he went for the full mount position before unleashing ground and pound on his opponent. Ferguson held his ground against the ground and pound onslaught and continued to exhaust Lee by fighting at a breakneck pace. He caught and exhausted Lee in a triangle choke in round 3 to secure the submission finish and win the interim UFC lightweight title. Fascinating, isn't it? Last on our list is Ferguson versus Anthony Pettis. Tony Ferguson suffered a knee injury following the fight with Kevin Lee. It was subsequently stripped of the interim UFC lightweight title. After rehabilitating his knee, El Cucuy returned to the octagon at UFC 229 to face former UFC lightweight champion Anthony Pettis in a potential #1 contenders fight, with the winner receiving the next title shot at the UFC's 155-pound title. The fight lasted 2 rounds and was immediately dubbed an instant classic. Pettis dropped Ferguson not once, but twice, landing beautiful, crisp punches on the latter. Now, excuses for calling punches beautiful, but you'll have to watch the fight to truly understand its magnificence. Ferguson recovered quickly and attacked Pettis' body with punches, kicks, attacks and knees. He continued his assault on Pettis in round 2, but the latter fired back with strikes of his own. Ferguson, who had been bloodied up by his opponent in round 1, had sliced up Pettis with sharp elbows all over the latter's face by the end of the second round. Pettis' corner called the fight between rounds 2 and 3, citing the fact that he'd broken his hand and thus couldn't fight at his best. As a result, Ferguson was declared the winner via TKO. Coming up, let's take a look at some of the defeats our boogeyman had to suffer. It won't be wrong to admit even the best artists have their unlucky days, and we'll be diving into 5 of them where Ferguson was shockingly not at his best. Let's start with his first MMA loss. The fighter suffered his first defeat in MMA at the hands of Karen Darabedian in February of 2009. Ferguson was defeated unanimously at All-Star Boxing, caged in the cannon. He later returned to the lightweight division, defeating Daniel Hernandez. Not stopping there, he then went on to capture 3 straight victories, taking his MMA record to 7-1. However, he would once again taste defeat, this time suffering the first submission loss of his MMA career. Here's what happened on his second unlucky day. El Cucuy lost to Jamie Toney in October of 2019 at National Fight Alliance MMA at the high at 3 by submission, unfortunately. And we say this because Ferguson, a black belt in Eddie Bravo's 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, has made a name for himself through his incredible submission game. In the UFC's lightweight division, he has the second most submission victories. But we all need a fall now and again. That's what keeps us motivated. Third on our list is his fight with Michael Johnson. After winning the Ultimate Fighter with a knockout of the night performance against Ramsey Najem, El Cucuy made his UFC debut in the lightweight division. Ferguson would go on to defeat Aaron Riley and Yves Edwards. However, Michael Johnson's crisp boxing proved too much for El Cucuy, who suffered his first UFC loss. Johnson easily defeated Toney by unanimous decision. Number 4, we have Justin Gaethje versus Ferguson. After his dominant win over El Cucuy in the main event of UFC 249, Justin Gaethje became the first fighter to stop Tony Ferguson. He was scheduled to face Khabib Nurmagomedov in the main event of UFC 249, but Nurmagomedov was unable to compete due to travel restrictions caused by the coronavirus. The fight was rescheduled, with Justin Gaethje stepping in short notice to face him for the interim lightweight championship. Gaethje won by stoppage over El Cucuy in what was a dominant performance from the knockout artist. In the process, he ended Ferguson's 12-fight winning streak. Let's take a look at the last fight on our list. Tony Ferguson would go on to lose a lopsided unanimous decision to Charles Oliveira in the UFC 256 co-main event. It certainly was a sad affair for him, but the fighter soon got back on track with his future wins. And we must add, a loss here and there on this stellar record is no big deal, right? That's a wrap on this video. What are your thoughts on Ferguson's career so far? Do let us know, and in the meanwhile, we'll be back with another video. Bye!